Hello everyone. In this basic convolutional neural network architecture, we clearly have understood that the convolutional layer was the one which was responsible for feature extraction. The extracted features are typically represented as feature maps. So whatever kernels or filters that we have used in the convolution operations are basically helping us in order to extract these feature maps. So how many ever number of kernels that you are using in the convolution operations, you'll have those many number of feature maps as a result. Okay. Likewise, you can have multiple such convolution layers. So whatever feature maps that are deduced in your convolutional layer 1 will act as an input to your subsequent convolution layer. Okay. As the number of convolutional layers increases, the abstractness increases, or the complexity in the features that you are deriving also will increase. We'll later deal with the complete CNN architecture, but now let us restrict ourselves in understanding more about how the shapes of these kernels change with a change in input data as well. So now in this particular diagram or in this particular slide, we clearly know that the kernel that we have considered here is a two-dimensional kernel, which takes the shape of 3 by 3. And the image data was 720 by 960 data. So this particular 3 by 3 kernel is now applied on different local regions within this particular image so as to extract this particular feature map that you are observing. The shape of this particular feature map is determined by what type of padding strategy that we have employed. If we are going by this valid padding strategy, where essentially we are not applying any padding at all, that is, we're not appending this particular image data with any of the columns or rows. So we essentially have this particular formula that we have deduced in one of our previous sessions, which is x minus m plus 1 and y minus n plus 1. So this determines the shape of the output feature map, where x and y are nothing but the height and width of the image data, and m and n are nothing but the height and width of the kernel. So we can plug in these values of 720 minus 3 plus 1, comma 960 minus 3 plus 1. This is going to result in a shape of 718 by 958, and that's what we are observing in the output feature map here. We need not restrict ourselves in using one single kernel here. You can have multiple kernels. In this particular example, now I'm having three different kernels, K1, K2 and K3. And obviously, there will be three different feature maps that are extracted, F1, F2 and F3. So F1 corresponds to K1. F1 is basically derived by performing the convolution operation by considering K1 onto this particular image data. So likewise, K2 corresponds to F2, K3 corresponds to F3. I believe you still have understood on what I'm trying to explain here. So this still is a 2D tensor object. So, but there are three different 2D tensor objects here in this particular example. Since there are three different kernels, we have an additional dimension to your output feature map. The number of feature maps here is denoted by 3 since there are 3 kernels here. Let's say that there are 10 different kernels, then obviously you will have an output feature map of 718 by 958 by 10. Okay. So whatever values that you are currently observing within each one of these kernels are nothing but weights. All of these are weights. Each of these kernels has got 3 by 3 number of weights. So that is 9 weights or 9 values here. So likewise, all of these 3 kernels will have total number of weights as 27. So for this particular convolutional layer, we have 27 weights. And I already have mentioned to you that each one of these kernels, like K1, K2 and K3, each one of these kernels will have an associated bias term, like B1, B2 and B3. I'm just providing some arbitrary naming convention here. So there are 3 different biases. So each corresponds to each one of these particular kernels of filters here. So in total, there are about 30 different model parameters, which are supposed to be learnable parameters during our optimization process. Okay. The values here that we have provided for kernels are not fixed in nature. During the optimization process or during the training process, they essentially keep changing because we execute multiple forward and backward propagations or passes in the overall optimization process that we conduct. Okay. So similarly, if you are considering an input image data, which is of three-dimensional tensor object, or this typically is an RGB image, each one of these channels are corresponding to these colors R, G, and B, red, green, and blue. If you look at the shape of the image data, it's now 6 by 6 by 3. It's no longer two-dimensional in nature as we have observed earlier. And the kernel, this is one single kernel. This is one single kernel, but it's not 2 by 2, but it's not two-dimensional in nature. It's three-dimensional in nature. So this is height of the kernel, width of the kernel, And this here is the depth of the kernel. The depth of the kernel will always match with the number of channels that are present within your input image data. Okay, so there are 3 different channels. So the last dimension within your input image data typically corresponds to the number of channels. So this corresponds to height and this corresponds to width here. Okay, the output feature map that you are observing is still 2-dimensional in nature since there is only one kernel. As I have mentioned to you earlier, the number of feature maps are directly related to the number of kernels that we are using in the overall convolution process. If I want to expand this further, this here is how we can clearly understand what type of convolution operation are we performing with 3-dimensional input data and 3-dimensional kernel. I have broken down the kernel into 3 different channels. Each of these channels correspond to each one of these input channels. So this is red channel, green channel and blue channel. This corresponds to the image data itself. And the kernel also is broken down into 3 different channels. Each one corresponds to each one of these channels, right? The first channel of the kernel corresponds to red channel. The second channel of the kernel corresponds to green channel. The third one corresponds to blue channel. So we use this channel 1 to perform convolution operation on this red channel data. Likewise, we use channel 2 kernel to perform the convolution operation on green channel data, so on and so forth. Now we perform this dot product, whatever resultant operation that you are observing for this particular image patch. We observe a value of 314, minus 175 and 326 for different convolution operations that we have executed at one go, right? And the sum of all of these values along with the resultant bias term, as I have mentioned to you, each kernel will have one bias term. There is only one bias here since this is only one kernel, but this kernel is 3D in nature. So we're adding that bias term here in the resultant convolution operation that we are performing. The value of bias here is fixed as 1 for now. And the resultant value is minus 25 for this first convolution operation that we are doing, and that's what we are observing in the output feature map. The output feature map is still 2-dimensional in nature. It will be 3-dimensional in nature only when you are having multiple such 3D kernels. So this is 3D kernel 1 and this is 3D kernel K2 and this is 3D kernel K3. Now each of these kernels, when we use it for the convolution operation, the resultant values that we have corresponds to one of these feature maps. So this is F1, F2 and F3, right? And within each kernel, each one of these 2x2 matrices within a 3-dimensional kernel also corresponds to the different channels within this particular image data. I believe you have clearly understood. So there are 3 different filters or kernels. Each kernel is now 3-dimensional in nature and hence I observe 3 different feature maps. The height and width of the feature map is still computed by the same formula of x minus m plus 1 and y minus m plus 1. And this last dimension here is nothing but the number of filters that we have used within the convolution operation. That's all. Let's say that I'm using 10 different kernels, then I'll have 10 different feature maps in the resultant output. It clearly is related to the number of kernels that we are using. That's all. So with this as a context, right, with what we have learned so far as a context, let's actually delve deeper into understanding more about the model parameters that are related to these kernels of filters that we are using. Also look at the overall CNN model architecture in our further sessions to come. Okay. So that's pretty much all I wanted to discuss with you in this particular session, and thanks for watching.